Hello and welcome once again to Red Game and Tech. My name is Amata. Today is the 18th of June and this time I have some more news for you regarding the Final Fantasy VII Remake, as Tetsuya Nomura has once again got a few things to say, and this time I think the news is going to worry you a little bit as well. He's basically said that the Final Fantasy VII Remake will not be an exact build of the original and went on to speak about why. Now, basically he's made it clear that it will not just be a visual upgrade, things are going to change. Now obviously that alone is a bit of a worrying thing for a lot of people who obviously fear that the changes to the game, like story, atmosphere, and of course the combat is probably the thing that people worry about the most, will result in something different to the classic that we all played. But when he spoke with Engadget, Nomura said that a one-to-one remake is unnecessary, which I don't know if I agree with that, but let's go on to what he said before we start discussing opinions. He said, quote, "The original is out again. The HD PC version is coming to PS4 already. We don't need two of the same thing. Even if we beautified and upgraded the visuals, something that's bound to happen. If it's a full remake, then of course we want to take a different approach. If we actually just upgraded the visuals, there'd be no need for me to direct it. If we take everything literally the same, we're turning into the HD port again." Now, unfortunately, he'd repeatedly refused to be drawn into a conversation on what might change, other than the comments he made yesterday about how the more light-hearted segments will remain, but he will not do anything too drastic, such as, say, switching genders, and they do seem keen to retain as much of the original spirit as possible. However, the concerning thing that I referenced at the start of the video is that it's looking unlikely, at least for the moment, that the combat of the original will actually be retained. And here's what Nomura had to say regarding it. Quote, "We can't have these upgraded, beautiful 3D models of Cloud and Barret still lining up in a row, jumping forward to attack an enemy, then jumping back to wait for their next turn. That would be bizarre. Of course there will likely be changes there." He then asked people to not worry too much about the upcoming changes, and the rather cryptic trailer was asking us to embrace whatever the reunion brings, if you remember correctly. So changes are going to happen. That's cool, that's fine. As much of a classic as the original was, or is, should I say, it wasn't a perfect game. It, of course, had flaws and problems, bugs, glitches, that sort of thing. We shouldn't leave those in just because of reasons, basically. We should improve on the systems there. But even though I'm not a huge fan of turn-based combat, it kind of bores me, to be honest, I still like Final Fantasy VII, obviously. And for a lot of people, the combat, they love it. That is a core part of Final Fantasy, and a lot of people still feel that the combat isn't as good since they moved away from turn-based combat. Now, with Final Fantasy 13 and all of its sisters, I can kind of see where they're coming from. With Final Fantasy 15, however, it's looking much, much better and is actually the style of combat that I've been wanting for Final Fantasy for years. Yes, it still needs tweaks, it's still not perfect, but is any system ever perfect? But to me, at least, it's better than turn-based. However, this is Final Fantasy VII we're talking about. If they change the combat too much, I don't think it's going to go well for them, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, he didn't say how they're going to change it, or how drastically they're going to change it. It's just not going to be what we saw in Final Fantasy VII, that being they're all lining up in a row, twitching back up and down on the spot like they need to go to the toilet. It's not going to be that. Will that mean we get 15-style combat? I doubt they do that. It definitely won't be the paradigm system. I think they're more than aware that people don't like that. So what could they do? They could maybe do turn-based, just in a different style. Yeah, they could do it like that. I'm not sure what style of system they could do, but turn-based but in a different style to the older games, that could work, but obviously it really depends. I think the combat is the one thing that people feel is one of the core elements, and I can see where they're coming from with that. So I feel like they're treading on dangerous ground here. And obviously, we can't really say until we see some actual gameplay, which of course we have not, and probably won't for a while, to be honest. But I think turn-based just in a different form could work, it just depends on how it's done. But I'd love to hear some thoughts from you guys. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.